This card might be the best new card from Murders at Karlov Manor. So, time for a card review. So for 1 white, 2 generic, a total of 3 CMC, you get a legendary creature Human Scout 2/2. With 2 passive abilities. The first one, creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. So that's great with something like Tymna, because Tymna and this creature will now be unblockable. Let's actually keep Tymna up there and look at the next ability. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So this creature is both making Tymna and her army unblockable, but also making literally a secondary Tymna, because once Tymna will trigger with this creature, Tymna will trigger twice. But our thoughts should immediately start going towards Dockside Extortionist, because Dockside has a power of 1, which means that when Dockside triggers, delney will copy it. And now things are already starting to be great. But we got more potential here. It's also going to trigger or copy Darevi. It is going to copy every single Esper Sentinel trigger, unless you actually increase its power to 3. But we'll sit there and act like a secondary Esper Sentinel. It's going to trigger on the Imperial Recruiter ETB, it's going to trigger on the Orcish Bowmaster ETB, but also on whenever Orcish Bowmaster triggers because someone is drawing a card. So it's like having a secondary Orcish Bowmaster, which means that if you have Orcish Bowmaster, delney in play, and Esper Sentinel, it's like you have 2 Esper Sentinels and 2 Orcish Bowmasters. It's also going to trigger on the ETB of Spellseeker and Recruiter of the Guard. So value engine wise, the card is great. But also how it potentially increase your combo output. Now to be fair, like Dockside is already performing really well, but we do play various clone effects like Phyrexian Metamorph, Phantasmal Image, Flesh Duplicate and such to get secondaries and third Dockside ETB triggers. And people are sacrificing Dockside, reanimating Dockside, bouncing Dockside, using Kinnan to double the amount of treasure value. So I see this creature as another potential addition to that concept. But what is different to your secondary clone effect of Dockside is that delney will actually be kinda great still. Just because of the fact that it's starting to synergize with small pieces just here and there. And here I think Tymna is the biggest winner, because first and foremost, it is going to synergize and copy a commander's triggered ability from the command zone. You always have access to your commander, so if you're playing a Tymna, delney is never gonna be a dead card, because you have to have creatures that are having some form of triggered ability for this to actually do something. So it could be a dead draw if you don't draw into those other triggered ability creatures. But Tymna in the command zone will always be accessible. You could say and claim that it's going to be great for CC as well. And yeah, I can see the appeal, because CC is usually going for various Dockside and Darevi combos, so it's going to be a boost. But I don't know, I mean CC is already performing quite well with Darevi and Dockside without cloning them, but you can. So I can see this actually appearing inside CC decks, but I don't think it's an auto-include or must-have. Where I think for Tymna, I think it's going to be great. Especially for something like Tymna Malcolm, where you're also going to get an additional trigger on the Malcolm ability. Dire Fleet Daredevil? Wait, this actually also works. Academy Rector. Whenever she leaves the battlefield, yeah, that's a triggered ability, so you will copy and clone that triggered ability as well. And same thing with Arena Rector. It's also going to copy the triggered ability from Archivist of Ogma, that is already kinda good. Brago isn't really doing great currently, but this is a Brago upgrade as well, because first and foremost, you're going to copy the Brago ability, and then you're going to copy some of the ETB effects from various different creatures with power 2 or less that Brago is flickering. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. Yeah, this is also going to trigger because the power is 0. So delney is going to be great in various different builds, because most of the cards we've looked at are individually great on their own, and delney is just going to boost them in general. But what about having delney as the actual commander? I guess you can, Because once again, you actually do have a bunch of various white cards that she is going to boost. Now, you aren't gonna get access to like Docksides, Imperial Recruiter, or the Oakish Bowmaster playing mono white. But you still have some stuff, and like this is 2 different Planeswalkers. This is 2 different enchantments. This is searching for both Arena Rector, Esper Sentinel, Archivist of Ogma, or Academy. Yeah, it's finding 2 creatures basically. Kinda good. Just because someone is going to view it as very fun and entertaining, I can really see people actually go for this. But personally, I think you should slam this into your various tuna decks and just be happy. In any case, I think this card is going to pop up quite a lot. And I really do think it's really good. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I truly think that this card is going to claim the spot of being potentially the best card printed from Murders at Karlov Manor. But who knows, we have more cards coming up and more card reviews videos in the making, as we have more new commanders to give reviews on. Until then, take care guys, and thank you so much for watching.